morning, dear students. Once again, welcome to the online class of Pramjitika, class 9. So, in our previous classes, we discussed about voice. Today, we just come to the conclusion of this particular portion. Today, we are going to discuss few more important things regarding voice sense. Okay. So today, we will conclude the portion voice. So in our last class, we discussed how we change the voice from active to passive. If the sentences are simple future, imperative, or if the sentence begins with verb, how we change those active voice to the passive. This is what we discussed in the last class. Today we are going to discuss about interrogative sentence. How we change the voice from active to passive if the sentence is interrogative. Particularly, I am going to tell you about those interrogative sentences which begins with who. If the interrogative sentence begins with who, how we change it from active to passive. This is what I am going to teach you right now. So before giving you the example of such sentences, I would like to tell you what are the essential things which you have to apply when you change the voice from active to passive if the interrogative sentence begins with who. So first of all, before you make the object into subject or subject into object, in such sentences, first of all, you have to use by whom at the beginning of the sentence. Initially, at the beginning of the sentence, before making the object into subject, you have to use by whom. And then you have to make the object into subject. And then you have to put the past participle form of the verb as well. So I would like to give an example of such sentence. Not very difficult. The question is, who has broken the window pane? So this particular interrogative sentence, you can see it begins with who. Has broken is the verb here. The window pane is the object in this sentence. So now, before you make this object into subject, first you have to use by whom. Okay? And then you have to bring this object into subject after by whom. By whom? The window pane. And we have already discussed perfect tense. If the active voice is perfect tense, then after the auxiliary we have to use been. By whom the window pane has been broken. Since this is perfect tense, so past participle form of the verb is already given in the sentence. So you don't have to take another one. You only have to place the verb, whatever it is in the active voice. And here auxiliary is also not changed because subject remain the same in this particular sentence. The window pane is third person singular, so that is why we have to put has auxiliary here. And after that, been is always come, and then first participle form of the verb broken. So this is how we change voice from active to passive if the interrogative sentence begins with who. So far we have discussed how we change the voice from active to passive. So these are the things or procedure which we need to apply when we change the voice from active to passive. So right now I am going to discuss with you how we change the voice from passive to active. What are the things we need to do when we change it from passive to active? Okay. So most of the occasions when we change the voice from passive to active, the changes which we used to bring when we change the voice from active to passive, if you rotate those things, it automatically becomes passive to active. Okay, so there is no particular rule or specific rule to make change voice from passive to active. We have to rotate those changes which we supposed to bring in the active voice. So how we rotate those things, I like to give an example of that. The tiger was killed by the hunter. So this is an example of passive voice. So now we have to make it into active. So what are the things we need to do? So we already learned that when we change the voice from active to passive, the object in the active voice becomes subject in passive, and subject in the active voice becomes object in the passive. So here the hunter, this will become subject in active voice. Okay? And we also learned that if the verb in the active voice is past, or you can say the tense in the active voice is past, we use the be verb was or were according to the subject of the sentence. So we have to use was or were be verb in the passive voice when the tense of the active voice is past. So since was be verb is used in this passive voice, what does this mean? That means the verb in this active voice will be what? Past. The hunter killed. So what is the subject in this sentence? The tiger. So it will become object here. The hunter killed the tiger. So this is how we rotate things from passive to active. Okay. So one more example. Sorry. So this is another example of passive voice. A song is being sung by Radha. So first of all, you have to identify the tense of the sentence when it is in active. So since we use is be verb along with been and then the past participle form of the verb, so this particular thing confirms that the sentence which is in passive here, in active, it is a sentence of present continuous. So now you have to make this sentence into present continuous, and you have to make the subject here, object here into subject, and subject of this passive voice into object. So what is the object here? Radha, you have to make it subject. since it is present continuous, so Radha is third person singular. So that is why what would be verb here? So is or is and is or are, among those three, one will come since Radha is third person singular. So what would the appropriate verb here? Is. Radha is singing a song. Radha is singing a song. So in passive, so a song will be object. Here it is object will become subject, a song. Since it is again third person singular, is verb is here, and this ing will be being, and then the past participle form of sing, sang, sung, and by Radha, that will become object. So this is how we rotate things from passive to active. That is why I told you that most of the occasions we only need to rotate those changes which we bring in active to passive, then it automatically become passive to active. But there are few sentences where we can't rotate those things. We have to apply some another procedure to make the voice from passive to active. So when that situation arrives, that means if the subject in the passive voice is not given, there are few sentences where you can't find the subject. So students, you can see that when we send the voice from passive to active, we don't have to do much. We only have to rotate those changes which we make when we send the voice from active to passive. If you make it in the original form, it automatically becomes passive to active. But there are some sentences where you have to apply some new procedure when you send the voice from passive to active. The sentences in which subject is not given, when there is no subject in the passive voice, so in such sentences we have to apply some new procedure. So what are those? I am going to tell you. Suppose in a passive voice, when the subject is not given, we have to take a subject according to the context of the sentence. Okay? But some situation arrives when it is not possible for us to find out the exact subject through the context of the sentence. It is not possible for us to identify the actual person behind the activity. So in such situations, we have to take subjects like someone, people, we, they. So such subjects we can take when we send the voice from passive to active. So now I am going to give you two examples of such sentences. First one in which we can able to find out the exact subject according to the context, and then I am going to give you an example of sentences where we are not able to find out the exact subject. Okay. So this is an example of such sentence. The boy was punished for misconduct. So in this sentence, the subject is missing here because the person who punished the boy, he is not present here. Only the boy is present here who was punished, but the person is not there who punished the boy. So here you have to find out the particular person who punished the boy. So from the context of the sentence, it is possible for us to find out the exact person who punished the boy. So who can punish the boy? A teacher can punish the boy when he do some misbehavior or misconduct in the classroom. So here, from that particular context, we can take the subject, the teacher. So since it is in passive and we are changing into active, so was, be verb will be removed in active voice. So the teacher, was, be verb is not there. And since was, be verb is in the passive voice, that means in active voice, what is the verb form of the sentence? That is past. The teacher punished the boy. The teacher punished the boy for misconduct. So this is how we change the voice from active to passive. If the subject, passive to active, if the subject is not there in the passive voice. One more example I would like to give. My bicycle has been stolen. So here, subject is again missing because the person is not here who has stolen my bicycle. And now, is it possible for me to say who is the person who stolen my bicycle? No. Right now, I am not in that particular position that I could find out the exact person behind that, because few moments before, I realized that my bicycle has been stolen. So when I say this particular thing to a person, I can't take anyone's name. So then I have to say someone. Someone or somebody, you can choose anyone. Someone, and here the sentence is in perfect form, has been stolen. So has will be there, but you have to remove been in active. Someone has stolen what? My bicycle. So this is how we change voice from passive to active if the subject is not there, and if we are not in a position to find out the subject or mention the subject. So that is how we change voice from active to passive. So these are the important and necessary rules when you change voice from active to passive or passive to active. But there are few sentences. I would like to give you some example of certain sentences where we have to use a very different procedure to change voice from passive to active. For example, Rose is sweet. So, since it is known to everyone, Rose is sweet when it is smelt. So this is how we sense voice if the sentences is very much like that. So here we brought the quality of the rose. So when we can realize that rose is sweet, when we smell that particular thing. Another example. Milk is white. So how can we realize milk is white? When we see it. The quality of a thing can be seen, and then we realize whether it is white, black or something else. So if we change it to passive, how is it? Milk is white when it is seen. Another one. Sorry. Honey is sweet. Honey is sweet when it is tasted. So these are a little bit unusual kind of voice, but the procedure of solving such voices is very much like that. You only have to find out the thing how we realize the particular fact through eyes, through ears, through tongue, whatever, and you only have to drop this particular thing into the voice. Okay. So dear students, that's all for today. In my next class, we will discuss another new topic of class 9. See you in the next class. Thank you.